Okay, so thank you for joining me for another session on pen and ink art. So I went back in time a little bit and I went and found an image that I'd taken when I was still working for Sabi Sans, and this is one of the Charleston brothers, two male lines. At the time that I was there were the two dominant male lines in the area, and this was by far the biggest and the most scary looking line we had in the area. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a cross of stippled as well as a little bit of a line drawing just to bring this line to life. So please take a screenshot. It will just help you as you go through your art if you have it open in another tab on your computer. So the way you take a screenshot is you push the Windows and print screen key simultaneously, and you'll have a screenshot that will be saved to pictures on your computer under screenshots. So first of all, we've got our page as always. Because of the size of this thing's main, I'm going to start by outlining the main. Let's call it something like that. And the legs kind of come out like that. Okay. Divide this main, something like that, and that goes up there too. Put the ear in. This actually kind of goes in here. Like I said before, don't be afraid to rub out. The back goes out to about there, comes down. Along that lines. Right, then you got to draw this concave belly. Something like that. Now its face. Bear in mind that a line's face is probably the main thing that everybody's going to be looking at. So make sure you get it about right. Okay. It's actually a very long face if you have a look at it. It's not a very short face, and it's almost got that heart-shaped look to it. Like that. I think. Okay, and the eyes. One can be about there. The other one is quite close to the edge of the face. About there. Okay, then the mouth. Mouth and the chin. Something like that, because you can even see the teeth in here. Okay, so say this is actually got quite this line quite nicely first time, didn't even need to rub out too much, but maybe open that up a bit, get that a bit thicker. This side, rub those out, bring those straight down. Okay. So I've got the general layout of this particular line. What I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start refining. Now refining, what I like to do is if there's a line on the line, for example, there's a line going up like that of that muscle, then I will draw that line in so that I know when I'm doing my stippling and my line work, I know to put a line in there. Excuse the pun. Also lighter areas I like to circle, and I know it's a lighter area. Pretty much you can go wild on your image, you can do whatever you want, but what I like to do is I like to give it a definitive line so I know exactly where to put the stuff. Boom. It's high there. Put that up. Like I said, you can always change, chop and change. You don't have to go with an image. If you've drawn a little bit, that's fine. You can always rub out and you can always restart. So what you should have is something that looks similar to that when you're done. Now, because we're going to be using stippling, I'm just going to break this thing as usual into 3 sections. I'm going to actually break this thing into 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's sort of the face will be part of that section. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with this back section. So just refine it as much as you want. Try to get every little detail you can. Kind of this concave here. Try to get every little detail you can into your drawing, because you're going to use this as a reference when you are busy actually doing your pen and ink. And if you've got the more detail you've got, the better your image will stand out and the better other people will like it. And there. Just got some more of an angle like that. Watch at the end. Just roll this line out a little bit. It's kind of like a lion actually. The side of the belly goes up a bit. Okay, find the tail a bit. It's a rare tail. Okay. Now, yet again, I'm going to be using my microns. Now, these microns, I've been working with them for many, many years. I really know what I'm doing with them. I am also, yet again, only going to be using the 0.003 and the 0.005. Those will be the two I'll be using. So I'm going to start with the 0.003, and I'm going to start here on the tail. Now, when you stipple, the longer you leave your pen on the thing, the larger your dot will be. So what you actually want to do is you want to go very fast like this. And what you'll create is an image which looks something like that. It really, really doesn't look like anything. But as you get up on it, you would be able to see that it's a lot, and I mean a lot of dots. Okay guys, so this is I'm gonna speed it up now, because at the end of the day, this will take me forever. So as you can see, the tail is actually coming on. Okay, so I'd say that the tail is actually done. Now to move on to the body. Now the nice thing about stippling is you can shade very nicely with it and evenly with it, but you've got to be careful with how you do. So what I usually do is I usually do one layer, and then I'll come over it a second time, and then I'll do a third layer, and my third layer will actually be my final layer. So let's start. again, I am going to speed this up because I don't want to keep you guys here all day. Okay, so now we've divided that in there and we've shaded that part of the line. So what we're going to now do is start adding the definition to, for example, the rump here, giving that muscle defined lines, and giving that muscle the defined line, and giving this area darker area. So we're just going to go over the line now and just start filling in wherever we need to make it darker. We're going to start making it darker. And this is where your internal lines come in, and where you needed to keep in mind that you needed those lines in the right place, because this is where we're going to be using those lines extensively. Bear in mind as you go, I mean, you can see if you're just adding more and more definition, you can continue to add definition throughout your image. As you do this, bear in mind you just got to remember where those lines are and just stick to them. This is where it is very important to have the right lines on your image, so that you don't mess up. As always, don't be afraid to rub out to see what you have. See where you've gone wrong. See where you can fix. This is the least forgiving pen and ink style. Okay, we have another defined muscle running from here up into there, so just going to put that in. I don't think I had a pencil line there, but not everything on this image is going to be stippled, so to define your lines a bit better, you can always run it gently and lightly along the edge. That will define it and bring that line to pop, as it were. Okay. Coming! Alright, well, grub has been served, so I'm going to go through to dinner and we'll come back later. So I'm not done with this section, but I'm going to move on and just do a pepper shading over this entire area here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to also speed it up because obviously I don't want you guys to be here all day watching me do pepper shading. As you're doing this pepper shading, I'm pretty much going to do a layer of this over the whole animal, and then I will come back and just do certain areas a bit better, as it were. Pepper shading like this is, or busy doing this, is quite easy. A lot of people say, this is the hardest style of pen and ink, but actually I find it's one of the easiest. Because all you've got to do is you've got to just do a whole lot of little dots. I've got pepper shading over this entire animal like this. We're going to start adding the highlights, and I'm going to do it section by section on this animal. So I'm going to do this rib cage now, and then we will continue on section by section. I'll show you what to do. It's quite a bit darker in this area than the back and the rump, so you've got to let that translate into your image. By making it darker, I'm actually going to change over to from this 0.3 over to a 0.5. This is going to create a little bit of a larger dot, and it's going to be a bit of a darker dot. So you can play with your pen weights to get exactly what you're looking for. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this this look on it where it's got this incave here. So we're going to make that a bit darker, and we're also going to put almost like a line in here where it's going to be a little bit darker going into his rib cage. Like that, there we are. You can play with line weights and pen weights to get exactly the image you want, but I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. Spend too much time on this particular area because this isn't going to be your main area, and you can easily make it whatever you want it to make it. I do like my heavier line weights. Okay, now I'm just also going to finish here at the back. You can see there's almost a line that runs like that along his back. I'm just also going to put that in there. It's a little bit of a darker line, a little bit of a darker stripe where his hairs actually come off at a different angle, and that's what gives it that darker look. Okay, let's carry on here. And as you go, you can always touch up and fix up and see if you can get your line weight a little bit different. Or and I like to just go as I go, just fixing where there needs to be lines, where there doesn't need to be lines. It's always what I've tended to do. As you go, you can just continue to make it heavier and heavier. I'm going to move on a little bit more forward. This mane is actually pretty dark. Now you can do it stippled the way I was doing it. I am not going to do that. I'm actually going to just go ahead and draw it in, because at the end of the day, otherwise you're going to be here for a very long time. And I'm going to sort of do this type of pen and ink in here, just to give it a broken up look, but also to make it darker faster, because otherwise we're going to be here for a very long time. I'm going to continue with this black mane, and what I like to do is I like to draw a line how the mane should look, and I go over that line several times, and I make it dark in the middle like that. And then what you can do later is you can come and fill in the rest with little lines and little squiggles and stuff, but those, you need those definite, almost, I don't want to say dividing lines in here, but it's not really a dividing line, it's a, well, you're just trying to make hair. So if you, however you know how to draw hair, that's how you can do it. But the way I do it is I like to find a line that I like on the drawing of darker color, and I'll actually just draw that in straight. So everybody can do this differently. Everybody's got their own style of doing this. I know how I like to draw, so that's why I will continue to draw the way I draw. But you are welcome to do whatever you want. You know, there are several hundred different ways of drawing this image, and every single person will have a different way of drawing this image, and no two people will be alike. And that's the beauty of drawing, that's the beauty of pen and ink, is I will draw an image completely different to the next person, and so on and so forth. So as you can see here, as we go along, I'm just going to continue to work on this area, and just make everything, just tidy up everything and make some lines darker and leave highlights, and just go over it more than once just to get exactly what you want. Now bear in mind that you can actually see through here on the legs. You can actually see it's not completely black, as it were. So bear that in mind. Even though there is some hair here, it's not completely black, and because of that you've actually got to look at it very carefully. See how I just draw these patterns and then I slowly fill in between them. Make sure not all your S's go the same way, because otherwise it will look strange, or your V's or whatever you're drawing go the same way. So sometimes if that goes like that, do that, for example. And that type of thing will also break your main up. Okay. So far our line is looking kind of good. I'm actually happy with the way he's turning out. What we're going to do is we're going to just sort of integrate this beard into this other stuff here. There are many ways you can do that, but the main one is just do this. Okay. Now also, if you have a look, there's almost like different layers of this mane, and they need to be different. They just need to be different strengths of pen stroke. A perfect example of this is if I just barely touch it and I go for it here, it's not gonna leave a very strong line, and that's exactly what you're wanting here. You're wanting a different level of pen stroke, even though it's still the same 0.5, 0.5. I'm going to have a different pen weight in this area, and that's just because I'm not pushing down on the pen. I'm just drawing it in. You can always add some more contrast and some more black into this mane. It can always do with a little bit more black. Okay. Remember also we're integrating these two styles, the pen and ink and the line drawing, so the messy style, so you can also just do a few little dots here and there just to bring that mane to pop. A few maybe small lines too is not a bad idea. Okay, and then here around the face it's very very dark, and then it goes light again, almost as dark as the beard. So right here at the face, and this here, what you do here at the face will very much alter what your image looks like. So make sure you get it reasonably well, the way your lines face here. Be afraid to break out into dots. This is an integration between the two here, and that's what I want, is an integration. I don't just want it to be one thing or the other, and that is what's going to create this image to pop, to come alive, as it were. So you bear in mind you want these squiggly lines to come through, but you also want them to stand out, as it were. So just keep that in mind as you're going here. You want the same type of squiggly lines and reverse squiggly lines and that sort of thing on this mane to make it come alive. What I'm saying is you want to carry these squiggly lines through from the dark mane into the light mane, because those divides generally start with this mane here. You can always go over your work again. You don't have to leave it. You can go over it a few times. I'm one of those people that loves to go over their work several times, so I'll go focus on an area here and then I'll go back to this area here just to get that overall look of this line better. Okay, I'm going to leave this face for right now. I'm going to come back to it. I just want to carry on these legs over here, these two legs. So I want to just put a highlight in the middle there. Now we're going from hair to very fine hair here. So you can't actually see the definition in the hair here, so we're going to go back to stippled here. So let's go back to stippled to create this darker patches. So you can have a look at what I'm doing, but I'm actually just going over, just creating definition in the legs. And obviously I will smooth this definition out, so I'll put a few more dots in here just to create a smoother look to it. But yeah, we're just gonna quickly work on this. Okay, it goes into grass here. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do down here yet for grass. So I'm going to stop with this leg. Just quickly just give it more of a highlight there. Okay. Now here you can actually see the white patch here, but there's also a bit of shadow that falls into the leg, so we're just going to add that in quickly. Okay, then you've got that. I want to say it goes to here. Alright. Done focusing on that. I'm going to focus on this back leg. This back leg has got a lot of definition in it. If you even look, you can see veins, you can see sinews, you can see all sorts of things. So this back leg is not one that you want to mess up. This is actually going to bring a lot of the life to the line, which the rest of the drawing, even though we are doing it like this, this is going to bring life to the line, where the rest of the drawing is going to not necessarily detract from it, but it's not as carefully done as what needs to happen in this leg. It's attention to detail here which is going to make your drawing stand. Quite a bit of dark shading in here, but there are also a lot of highlights, so you're going to try and add as much definition in as possible. Obviously you're not going to get it all in, just because it is a pen and ink drawing, it's not a photo, but you're going to try your best to get as much as possible in here. Okay, like I said, I like to jump around on an image. While I'm doing this, I've noticed that this patch over here needs to be dark, almost like a triangle. So I'm going to jump to over here and continue. As you go, you'll see patches that need to be darker, patches that need to be lighter. It's always nice just to fill those patches in as you go, because then you don't make a mistake later on in your drawing. there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here, and this leg needs to be solid. So this line is coming on nicely. I'm going to continue with the mane on this side, just because I actually really want to draw this in to see what the gradient is, as it were. As I said, as you go, just keep on filling in areas where you see it doesn't look right or it doesn't look nice. You can always go fill in those areas and get a bit more of your stippling in, or get a bit more of the drawing in. As you go, we're going to fix areas back here as well. Make areas darker, like over here, make this area a bit darker. Things like that we're going to do as we go. So don't stress if it's not perfect. Most of it is already should be stippled, most of your outline by now. But I'm going to continue with this mane up this side over here. Bear in mind this cheek here, it's a very high contrast between the cheek and this thing, so you might want to add a bit more dark here, make it even a higher contrast, because as your image goes, this type of thing is what brings your line to life. So you might want to make it even a bit darker than what the image shows. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub out most of my line and see what I have left, and then I'll know where to keep on shading. Look at that transition there. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but it's a really nice transition there to this to that. It's almost the same color. There's not much differentiation on the actual picture, but that is about as perfect as you're going to get it in a pen and ink. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue with the line's face. Now I haven't drawn the line's face exactly to spec, so what we're going to do is we're going to just quickly rub out one or two little things, because there are some errors in the face itself. For example, that mouth. There's actually a lot of highlights in this mouth if you actually have a look at it. I mean, you've got the individual teeth, but you also have this white gum underneath, which sort of shows off a lot of what the line has. And also in the lips here, you've got a lot of highlights. So for example, there's a highlight that runs down like that, and then sort of ends over there. Then there's another highlight that runs at the back here, like that. And then on this side, of course, there are a few layers in here. And then on this side, there's not much highlights on that side. But you're going to leave a line, you're going to leave a white line between where this starts and where your mouth starts. That's going to give it definition. If you guys don't leave that white line, you're messing your image badly. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave that like that, boom, and we're going to leave a white strip in there, and then this can be dark, it's fine, and then this can be dark, it's also fine, but that white strip is going to stand out. Okay, and then on this side of the mouth, bear in mind you guys will make mistakes in this pen and ink. Don't stress. I make hundreds of mistakes every single day in pen and inks. Every time I draw, I see something I've got wrong, or the shape I haven't got exactly right, and it's part of pen and ink, is you will have mistakes, and there's not much you can do about them. All you can do is I'm not going to say hide them, because you physically can't hide them too well, but you can really. I know that looks wrong, eh? But you'll see just now it's gonna look nice. Add some highlights there, color that in. And the way I usually do highlights is I go do circles like this, and then what I'll do is I'll scribble through it and scribble around it. So what I've done there is I've done circles, and then what I'll do here is I'll just fill in this. It's going to be pitch black next to it, and then I'll just scribble through it a few times, and that will be the highlight. And then you can just fill the rest in, and you should end up with highlights there. It's quite an easy way to create highlights, and yeah, it's awesome actually. Okay, these highlights don't go as far as that. Okay, the mouth doesn't look too good, but that's because the face isn't done. As soon as the face is done, then you'll see the mouth will stand out. Now this little beard at the bottom here is very, very spiky, and you can create this by actually physically making straight lines in this beard, but it's also very white, so don't forget that. So don't overdo it, is what I'm trying to say. Pen and ink is all about making contrast. So if you have to make contrast like this, make your contrast. Don't stress about too many other things. Make your contrast. You can always add little lines in here to break this up, to make it more even, but make your contrast. Make sure that it stands strong, make sure that it is strong, because otherwise you won't get very far with this pen and ink. Your image won't stand out. So I mean, all that dark there, you can easily just spread it out, make it look natural, and a lot of people struggle with this stage, making something look natural like that. Even though that might be an error on your photo, I can always make it look normal just by making that a bit darker like that. Now this nose is my next thing I'm going to work on. It is very skewed, so I'm going to have to use a pencil and a rubber and just straighten it up, get the lines right. It's more like that, actually. Nostril there, nostril there, maybe a bit broader. Okay. I know it looks crazy, but I know what I'm doing there. Okay, so now what you can do is you can pull this thin line up, and about there just start dividing it. Okay. There's also one or two little highlights on the nose. The nose sort of dips before it goes to that point and goes to that point. Sort of dips a little bit before rising and flaring, as it were. Make sure you add those, because these little bits of detail are the things that are going to make this image stand. Okay. And as you go, just refine this nose, just a fraction here and there, just to get a better feeling for it. Now you can make this pitch black in here, the snout as it were, and then give it a highlighter around, or you can completely cover it in black. I'm going to completely cover it in black because this is completely covered, so I'm going to fill it in properly. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but try your best to get it as closest to the image as possible. Hey, it's starting to look like a line now. Okay, so if you take a line's whiskers, there's 4 different lines in a line's whisker. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's where your lines need to be. I've extended this a little bit too much here on this side. Make it a bit broader here. Okay, so we're just going to do that for the lines on the whisker. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. When you're doing this, make sure that this side is bigger dots or thicker dots than this side here close to the mouth, because they do peter out. So you don't want them to be this massive contrast. We are going to do 1 or 2 little speckles in here as time goes on. We're not going to do that just as of yet. I want to show you why just now. So you can just draw this face a little bit higher. Okay, let's do the same on the other side. Of course, use the pencil first. So we've got 1 line, 2 lines, 3, 4. There we go. Okay, now we can also just go ahead and put these in. These dots need to all be about the same size as you're going. Okay, now we're going to start adding definition to this face. Now this is very important part of the thing, because this is what everybody's going to see when they look at your line. Is they're not going to look really at the mane. I mean, yes, they'll look at the mane, but the mane falls away, the body falls away. The main thing they're going to look at is this face. So let's make sure we get this face right. I am going to draw these eyes in first, and I'm going to be very careful to get this eye exactly round. So I was working on the face of this line before my battery ran out. So this eye, as I was saying, I'm going to get it as round as possible, because a lion's eye is just one of those things that if you muck it up, everybody will know, because it is such an iconic looking eye. Make sure you keep the lion's eye round. And the pupil small. It looks kind of finicky, and it is finicky work. You get that wrong and everybody will know, because everybody knows what a lion's eye looks like. Very few people don't know what a lion's eye looks like. And then it's almost got mascara, like a thing of mascara under its eye. And then just pat it down, get the right amount of black around it. When I'm concentrating, I struggle to talk as well at the same time, and something I've always had trouble with is trying to talk and concentrate. I tend to only be able to do one thing at a time. There's a nice line coming down its face too, middle line, so I'm just going to lay that out in dots. Okay, this thing here needs to be heavily shaded. Okay. Okay, so as you go here, just bear in mind that a line's face is, this face is kind of facing a little bit skew here, and due to that you're going to have a little bit of an issue here and there. You are going to have a little bit of an issue here and there, but it shouldn't cause too much trouble. Okay. Here again, make sure that this is perfectly round. If it isn't, everybody will know that you've got it wrong. You know what they say, only madmen can draw perfectly round circles. But yeah, if you do it carefully enough, anyone can be a madman. Come on. It's coming to life. It really is. There we go. Don't hold your breath just yet. We're not over the woods and we haven't got it right yet. But it's coming. It's coming. I'm going to go on to the ear now. Okay. This side's ear you can't really see because it's hidden. Now you want to translate that. So the mane kind of flows downwards like this. Over here, I agree. And then kind of flows almost upwards there. Okay, you can put this black patch in here. I am not going to do that. It is what makes it the Charleston brothers. The one male did have this black patch over here. I'm not going to do that just because at the end of the day we are drawing a line. We are not necessarily drawing one of the Charleston brothers. So I'm not going to put that in there, but everybody can do what they like. You could put a bit more darker, make it look like this over there, and add it in if you wanted to. I am not going to do that. I am just going to make a white mane there. So okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to rub out the facial area, see what I've got wrong. Always very important to do. Just rub out where you've done your pen and ink, see what the problems are. Okay, the first thing that jumps out to me, it's not even in that area. It is the tail. The tail needs to be a lot thicker. First thing that stands out. Second thing that stands out is the two lines on the sides of the face here. You don't have to add them in, but I want to add them in. It's these imperfections on the line that actually bring its face alive. So Then underneath here it's got a little bit darker. And then above the eyebrow there's also quite a bit more speckling than what I've put. And you just go over this and just refine and refine and refine. And you'll find that at the end of the day, as you refine, you'll find that your image will come to life. The more time you spend on the facial features, the less time you have to spend everywhere else, because that is what's going to catch people's eyes. What I like to do is I like to make it definite line here, and you just do a squiggly line around the edge like this, and you will definitely create that lion's face shape that everybody so loves to hate and hates to love. Just put a few speckles in this stuff here, top of the mane here, so just so that it's consistent. And the sides here. Okay, next thing I've noticed also, this went up here like that, and I don't really have that on my thing. This is a big dark area here. It's a mistake, let's just put it that, but I'm doing my best to cover it up, which means that I'm going to add a little bit more dark in here. Because I got the shape of the face a little bit wrong there. Anyway, it happens. Okay. Also just going to give it a little bit more defined here along the edge of the line. A lot more definition. Here too, I'm going to give it more definition. Giving it definition like this will bring your image forward quite a bit, and it will also just differentiate the different parts of your line. And when you differentiate the different parts of your line, the line will jump off the page a little bit more. And you can just continue to refine it a little bit, just create that face of a line. Okay. Now I'm going to leave the feet for tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. I'm going to sleep on it and then come back and draw tomorrow. What I want to do is I actually want to produce some grass stalks in here. I've thought about this image quite a bit, and at the end of the day I would like to create a very realistic line here, but at the same sentence I have got his proportions a little bit wrong here. This nose should be a bit smaller, and just because of that it throws this whole line out of proportion. So we can try fix this a little bit by creating this a bit bigger around here and just try create his features a little bit larger. This will Okay, so what I'm just doing is I'm pretty much making his features a little bit larger. Okay, so I'm going to go with a pencil again. I want to create some grass here. We're just going to see how it falls, and then from that we will be able to draw. I just want to see what I can do with grass stalks. So grass I'm going to draw pretty helter-skelter, one or two long stalks, but mostly just helter-skelter. They're not going to make very much. There's not going to be very much rhyme or reason to it. You can change it and do whatever you want, but give it pebbles or whatever. But I actually am not going to take all the time to go find another image that I can mesh with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw in some random grass, which can make this image actually quite a bit nicer if you know what you're doing. Just put the grass in. Okay, now we can start putting the grass in. You don't have to put in exactly what I've put in. There's lots of different ways of doing this. You just shift this drawing up a bit so that you guys can see it properly. There we go. Everybody's got their own way of drawing grass and pen and ink, but I'm going to just do this. It's a very messy style, but it lends itself to this type of drawing. Wondering what that noise is. It's my dog crawling around underneath the bed. Yes, we're talking about you because you're making lots of noise. Come here. Come here. Here we go. Good girl. just see how I just go mad. And if we rub it out, it actually creates quite a nice effect for this particular pen and ink. So yeah, not bad. Let's keep on going. Slowly getting there. So you could continue to refine it. I mean, you could clarify that a little bit more and all sorts of other little odds and ends. But as my grandfather said, an artist never finishes his work, he simply abandons it. And that is what I'm going to do now. So, of course, the last thing you do on any artwork is you sign it. And voila, I am done. Please, if you like this video, hit that like and subscribe button. I am still trying to figure out what's happening with the camera and its focus, but I will hopefully have that sorted out by the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and God bless.